Internet. It is I, Malik Aaron, and welcome back to the channel, episode 199. Ooh, alright. I had a feeling something like this was gonna happen any day now. Like, I had this sinking feeling in my stomach that I'm just like, yeah, shit's about to go bad real fast because as you know, the writer's strike has been going on for a few months now, since May, and obviously that would have a negative impact on movies and shows. But with that, you can kind of work around it. Like, if you have a script already, completed script, you can film with the script. Like, production can still go on. And that was the case for a lot of movies. But then the actor strike happened like 2 weeks ago, and that pretty much killed all movies in production. So everything's at a standstill, and I knew it was only going to be a matter of time before everything went to hell, and it's finally happened somewhat, at least on the Sony side of things. I mean, sure, we already had like a big bomb with like Disney back in May where they just pushed back a bunch of movies that were supposed to come out like next year and beyond. But now Sony had to do the same thing earlier today, and so much happened with them that I've decided to split this video into two parts because there's just too much to cover. For this video, the one you're watching right now, it's going to be all of the Marvel stuff, the Sony Marvel stuff, because there's quite a bit to talk about there. And then episode 200, the fact that I even made it to episode 200 is really sad and concerning. That'll be all the non-Marvel Sony stuff. And the bike riders, I guess. So that's what I'm going to do in order to make things easier for myself. So yeah, let's start. All right. So all this happened like earlier today on Friday. Like, I thought Friday was going to be a real chill day. I was just expecting to do nothing and then make my Haunted Mansion and Talk to Me prediction videos, and then that'd be it. It'd be an easy weekend. But Sony said, no, you're not allowed to have an easy weekend. Here you go. Have fun. So, yeah. So let's talk about all the Marvel stuff. So, one piece of good news, Venom 3, it exists. Well, it already existed. It was announced kinda, well, it was officially announced later, but I remember like last year at CinemaCon, they were like, oh, like I think they showed like a logo or something and that was it. But now they're like, okay, Venom 3 is a thing and it's coming out next year, July 12th, 2024. Yep, Venom has finally graduated to being a summer movie, which almost happened with Let There Be Carnage, but didn't because of COVID. So, yeah. Now, Venom 3 is one of those movies that's actually, well, it was actually began filming like a month ago, like at the end of June, which I didn't even know about until like looking it up earlier today. And it was filming. It seemed like everything was going fine, and then the actor strike happened, and filming stopped. You couldn't do anymore. So, yeah, but yeah, this movie was in production for a little bit. It'll likely resume production once the actor strike is over, whenever that'll be. Um, so yeah, July 2024, Venom the 3, which I guess apparently like Sony had this date on reserve. I think that was one of the movies I talked about like a couple episodes ago. Sony had like a 2024 and a 2025 Marvel movies like filled in, but we didn't know what they were. And I thought Venom 3 would be one of them. And well, I was half right. So yay me. And with the Venom movies, like of all the Sony Spider-Man movies that don't feature Spider-Man at all, um, Venom is probably the one people tolerate the most easily because of just the chemistry and the relationship between Eddie and Venom. that sells movie tickets. That makes people want to watch these movies. That makes people tolerate these movies. Is those two. Everything else is just kind of ass. But Eddie and Venom, those two make these movies profitable because these movies are profitable. They made Sony quite a bit of cash, so obviously they're gonna keep going with that. But yeah, so 2024 Venom 3. 2024 is going to be a great year if you're a fan of the Sony Spider-Man non-Spider universe thing. All five of you out there. So yeah, so Venom 3 next year. Okay. Then one more thing, Madam Web, a movie that exists for some reason, that has changed its date from the 16th to the 14th, so it went back like 2 days. And it's now coming out Valentine's Day, which, makes sense. One could argue, well, it's not even a romance movie. How's it going to do on Valentine's Day? Well, you don't have to be a romance movie to do well on Valentine's Day. Every single movie gets a boost on Valentine's Day because people just like going with their spouses to go to the movies. It's like a good like date option, I guess. So yeah, this date change does make sense. But you go, well, it's in the middle of the week. It doesn't matter. Movies, like it really doesn't matter. I mean, I remember in 2019, like Valentine's Day was on a Thursday, and movies opened on Thursday. I think Alita Battle Angel opened on a Thursday, and it still did. Well, I wouldn't say it was a hit. It wasn't the catastrophic bomb I thought it was gonna be. So yeah, you can open your movie midweek as long as there's like a holiday or something. or or well, I guess you can do it whenever, but ideally you want to do it if there's a holiday or you feel like it's going to be a big hit. You don't want to just do it whenever because sometimes it may not work out. So, yeah. But Madam Web, all you fans out there who wanted this for some reason. I don't even know who Madam Web is. I barely know who she is. I think I remember her from like Spider-Man Shattered Dimensions, the game. A game that predated the whole Spider-Verse concept. Okay? The whole Spider-Verse concept, that originated, its genesis was Shattered Dimensions. Just wanted to throw that out there. But yeah, I don't know anything about the character. Maybe if I see a trailer, the movie it'll convince me to watch the movie. I don't know. I don't really care. But yeah, so there's that. That's the last bit of positive news. All right, time for the negative news. Kraven the Hunter. Ooh. It was supposed to come out in like literally 2 months, pretty much. Like a little more than 2 months. And let me tell you, man, I was ready. I was ready. I was excited. I was ready to laugh at it because it looked so awful. I was hyped up to witness this masterpiece on the big screen. But now I can't do that anymore because it got delayed by a whole year. It's now coming out August 30th, 2024. Apparently the reasoning is like the studio needs like to blast this one out on a global tour, and Aaron Taylor Johnson needs to be like in the mix for this Frost franchise. What franchise? If this movie came out in October, even without the writer's strike and the actor's strike, it wouldn't have done well. It just would have been another Morbius. Because pretty much everyone knew this movie was doomed from its inception. Just from the trailer alone, people are like, yeah, this is horrible. Like, people looked at, like, is this even Kraven? Like, I'm a very I barely know Kraven. I know Kraven more than Madam Web, but even then Kraven, I don't know him that much. But even then, I looked at the trailer and was like, that's not Kraven. I don't know who this imposter is, but that's not him. And then they make him like a hero, which is stupid. I hate when villain movies, like like, I guess the mindset is, oh, we can make a villain movie, have him be like cool, but then they pussy out and make them like the hero and have like another bad guy to go up against. Why can't a villain just be a villain and be the main character? What's so wrong about that? Why is that so scary? Like, there have been plenty of movies that have had the main character be basically the antagonist. It was like American Psycho or Nightcrawler. Like, just do that. What's wrong with that? I don't get it. But I think it's dumb. But yeah, Kraven's now coming out next year, all the way next year. That's so. I really thought October 6th was going to be Kraven time. I was ready, and now I gotta wait till October 30th for it to be Kraven time. That sucks. But for all you Kraven fans out there, you will still get Kraven in October via Spider-Man 2 for the PS5. You'll get him in that game, so at least you have that. And that game, honestly, if Kraven still came out in October, I would have just told everyone just play Spider-Man 2 instead. You'll get a far more accurate Kraven there. So, yeah, but the Kraven movie, man, that makes me sad. So sad. And then last but not least, Spider-Man Beyond the Spider-Verse. Yeah, it got yeeted entirely to the ether it went. So it moved off from its Easter weekend, which was like March 29th, I think. And now it's TBD, I mean to be determined, which means it's in the ether. It's in delayed indefinitely. Even deadlines like sorry fanboys. Now this doesn't shock me at all. I knew this was gonna happen. It was only a matter of time before Sony said something, because I heard like after Across the Spider Verse was out, that like they still need like a number of voiceovers to do it, and without actors you can't do that. I know Haley Steinfeld, apparently she hadn't recorded any of her lines, so yeah, the movie needed to be delayed because of that, and it won't be ready in time. I'm just like, no shit, it wasn't gonna be ready in time. And then from what I've heard, like some of the artists who were working on Across the Spider Verse, when people mention like Beyond the Spider Verse, it was like, yeah, no, that's not happening next year. No chance, no chance in hell. And I was just like, okay, it's not coming out next year. I'm fine with that, because obviously these Spider Verse movies, they require a lot of time and energy and people and work. It sounds like a whole nightmarish process to make a movie like that, because the Spider Verse movies, they're just different. Okay, like Into the Spider Verse kind of created its own little, kind of changed animation forever, really, kind of, and it's now led to this big shift in like theatrical animation, or like we have movies like Mitchell's versus the Machines or Puss in Boots: The Last Wish, and now Ninja Turtles: Mutant Mayhem, where they're kind of embracing a style that's not Disney and not Pixar, going for different styles. And I think that's cool. I think that's great. But obviously, Beyond the Spider Verse, it was now coming out in less than a year. That was you would have to be a fool to think that was even remotely possible. And you're probably wondering, well, why didn't Sony like say this earlier? Like if they knew it wasn't going to be ready. Here's what I think. I think they waited to announce this so that it didn't hurt Across the Spider Verse, because that launched, that was out in theaters, and it was a big hit, huge hit actually. It was the biggest movie of the summer. I say was because Barbie is about to overtake it any day now. So yeah, it was the biggest hit of the summer, and I imagine Sony, they didn't want to say anything, because if they did, it would have been like the biggest buzzkill. Like, could you imagine like Across the Spider Verse comes out, and literally like a few days later, Sony's like, actually, Beyond the Spider Verse, the movie teased at the end of Across the Spider Verse, yeah, that's been delayed indefinitely. Sorry, like, they would never do that. That would be really stupid. So the smart thing to do would be like to wait until Across the Spider Verse was old and no one was talking about it anymore, and then announce the delay for Beyond the Spider Verse. That makes sense. That way you don't hurt Across the Spider Verse. But that's what I think. That's what I think Sony's logic was. But yeah, this kind of stings, but I knew it was gonna happen, so I'm not too bothered by it. Like, I didn't expect Kraven at all. That kind of shocked me. But Beyond the Spider-Verse, I knew it wasn't coming out next year. Like, at this point, I think it'll probably come out in, like, I don't know, 2025, 2026, probably 2026, if I'm being honest. Which, considering how good the Spider-Verse movies are, I'm willing to wait a few more years. I'm patient. Okay, I waited 2.5 years for Invincible season 2, and even then, I'm only gonna get like half a season. So, if I can wait for that, I can wait for Beyond the Spider-Verse. Okay. So yeah, for all you Spider-Verse fans out there, that has to hurt a lot, but you all really should have seen this coming, like from miles away. Like, come on. So yeah, that's all that happened. With like the Marvel stuff. So yeah. And now, the next video, all the non-Marvel stuff, because there's a lot to talk about regarding that. And bike riders, I guess. So let's look at the schedule. Because at this point, I don't trust anything anymore. I think everything is kind of in the danger zone at this point. I mean, maybe like obviously not Haunted Mansion. They're out. They're already released. So what are you gonna do? And then like with Mutant Mayhem and the Meg 2, they're coming out next week. Why change that? It would make no sense. You already spent your ad money on them. Just release them. Like, it wouldn't hurt. But yeah, every other movie like has pretty much a 50% chance of making it at this point. Um yeah, so Gran Turismo, I'll talk about it in the next video, but yeah, I was a little shocked to see that was supposed to come out in 2 weeks, and they're like, let's push it back another 2 weeks. Like, why? Like, what's the point? Ugh, whatever. So yeah, that August, September. Drive Away Dolls is definitely moving. I don't see that staying at all. The Creator, I can see that moving. Uh, Exorcist Believer, that should stay. Same goes with Saw X and The Nun 2, I guess. Killers of the Flower Moon, I don't know. Doom Part 2, there's a very solid chance that's gonna move, but we won't know about that until like later. Apparently, like Lionsgate, not Lionsgate, Legendary, the production company behind it, they have to like September really to make a decision. So I guess we'll find out in due time. But everything else, I have no clue. I don't know anymore. Well, there goes Ghostbusters. I didn't think that was gonna make December anyway. There was zero chance of that. Uh, and then everything else, man, just ugh. And you got 2024, all these movies. Yeah, there's Madam Web coming out Wednesday. February is just nothing. It is the most nothing month I've ever seen. Like, March looks really good, like in comparison. Scratch off Beyond the Spider-Verse. That's not coming out. Just scratch it off. What else do we got? Deadpool 3, that's getting delayed. I feel like we're gonna have another big Disney delay any day now. just gotta wait for it. And then let's see what else is there. Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 2. That might get pushed back. Maybe. I'm not sure. I'm not too sure about that one. And then the Untitled, that's Venom 3. That's Venom 3. See, they had it. Like, there, that Venom 3. There you go. Now July looks a little better. Not that much better, but a little better. Still have the movie that grinds my gears, Mufasa the Lion King, a movie that I wish would burn in a fire, but we're going to supposedly get next year. And then you got August, all these movies. There's Kraven. It's going to be Kraven time come Labor Day 2024. Ugh. Then you got September and October and November, then December, and yeah, Sonic 3. That I feel like that's gonna move. That's gonna make me real sad because I actually want to watch it, but I don't think it's gonna make it at this point. What else? El Morito, that just died. I mean, it had a 2024 date despite the fact that literally no work went into it. It was never in production at all, so I don't know why they kept that date for the longest time. And now it's just dead at this point. I feel like they may or may not cancel it. We'll see. Then you got all the 2025 movies, and that's wait. Was it supposed to be there it is. This for June 2025. This is the other one. Part of me feels that that's Spider-Man 4 for the MCU, but I'm not too sure anymore. We'll see. They'll announce something eventually. Um and then yeah, you got the rest of 2025, which is obviously empty at this point. But although it might fill up over time because of delays. Um but yeah, that's what the next few years look like. So yeah, so that's it for now because as I already said, this is just part 1. Part 2, episode 200 will come out immediately after this. So stay tuned for that episode. And if you want to watch any of the past, cancel episodes on the channel, you have plenty to choose from, more than enough to choose from. So you want to watch any of the past cancel episodes, go right ahead. You want to binge them all from beginning to now, go right ahead. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe, the whole drill. You know how it is. And then prediction videos, where I predict box office for movies this weekend, or literally in like a few hours, pretty much. I'm gonna do Haunted Mansion and Talk to Me. It's a very dry weekend if you haven't noticed already. Obviously, after Barbenheimer, you can only really go down. But yeah, and then next week is going to be really weird because I have to do Moon Mayhem midweek, and then next Friday I do Meg 2. So stay tuned for all of those. But if you want to watch any of the past prediction videos I made on the channel this year, the past few years, you can go right ahead. And there's also box office recaps where I go over the box office results for any particular month. I'm doing July recap the first week of August. And boy, that's gonna be a video. It's basically the polar opposite of my June video. June video was pretty much negative, like the whole time, with the exception of like Across the SpiderVerse. July is kind of the opposite, where there's a lot more positivity than negativity. So that's nice. So stay tuned for that video. But if you want to watch any of the past recap videos I made on the channel, you can go right ahead. And yeah, that's it. That's all. I am out. Goodbye.